this is Greg with Greg James Designs, and I am going to hit a hot button topic today. How much does it cost to build a Barndominium? I don't know. Wow. It all depends. I build Barndominiums, but I live in Oklahoma, and it's going to be different all over the country. And what I have found is a few common things. Now, I want to tell you, according to my experience, hear me, my experience may be different for you, may be different for your Uncle Joe that's a contractor. I understand. My experience are a little bit more expensive. Sometimes, I want to say on average, about 10 to 15%. And I'm going to tell you why I think that is. Okay? So, are they more expensive and why? Well, right now, in Oklahoma, in 2024, the average cost, and this is really pretty reasonable, is about $160 to $200 a square feet. Now, this is a huge misleading statement. I know that sounds crazy, but let me tell you why. You cannot quote a barndominium per square foot like you do a stick frame house. I can't get the math to work, okay? This is why. Remember, we go back to our boxes. So here's our box. And some people want a big box. They want 5,000 square feet of building, okay? They're going to build 3,000 square foot of house, okay? 2,000 square foot of garage. Well, obviously your garage square footage is going to be a hugely different cost than your built out area, right? Well, that seems obvious, but this is what I've learned. Okay, now I want to just learn some things I had from actually building these. The biggest issue is labor. Okay, so you have your metal building. Okay, I'm trying to rein my thoughts in. I appreciate your patience, but there's like a bazillion things going through my head right now. So, okay, so let's start at the top. So let's say you have a budget, but the first thing you got to put in is your building shell. Okay, so you have let's draw our little house here. Let's say this is a metal building, okay? And then here's your land, your dirt. So this is the way I do it. We have a Barndominium budget that you can contact us, and we'll give it to you. So this will help you. It's the same budget we use. But I work these things in two pieces. So what I do is I come up with, the first piece is the building shell and the pad, the dirt work. Not the road getting to the building, not all the utilities getting to the building, not run the power, not run the water, the gas, all that stuff. Just the building shell and just the pad to set it on. That would include the foundation, okay? Now this becomes, for my purposes, part A. Now, that's just the way I do it. Okay, so now I have the cost on my building. I'm going to pick a nice round number, okay? So don't hold me to this. I'm just going to pick 100K. Let's say to get my pad built, pour my foundation, build my building, and let's say my building is 4,000 square feet. It's going to cost me roughly 100 grand to put that up, get it in the dry. Now I've done nothing on the inside, okay? So this is my baseline starting point right here. Now I have to go in on the heat and cool section. Then I go in and line item out the interior framing, the sheetrock, all the stuff. It's just like building, from there it's just like building a traditional house, because you're building a house within a house, okay? House within a house, that's all you need to know. So you still have to come in here and stick frame, stick frame everything, frame the whole thing in, just like a normal house. The only difference is the shell. So that's the way we do it. We have two parts, and then part B is everything else in that heat and cooled area. Because we could also include, more than likely, if I were doing this in my part A, in my building shell, I would include the insulation. Okay? because no matter what, it's going to need to be insulated. We insulate the garage as well. Now here where we are, it's different all over the country. I'm trying not to bunny trail. We spray the entire envelope of the building with 1 inch of closed cell foam. And then that works great for the garage area. I mean, it's incredibly efficient just with that 1 inch of closed cell foam on it. The entire roof deck, everything. Very important when the steel buildings, you spray all the steel. Otherwise, the steel will sweat because it is in contact with the exterior and it will sweat, okay? And then we come inside the heat and cooled area and we add to that with open cell foam, okay? So I would include probably the initial insulation in my Part A in my original building. But I say this, cost is going to vary greatly. And the biggest challenge I've run into is labor. And this is what I'm running, this is my experience, okay? So you got the building erection. So you got to put your building up. That's usually, if it's a steel building, most steel building erectors don't like to mess with wood that I've experienced. They don't want to touch it. If it's not steel, they don't want to mess with it. So let's say you found your building, you get your steel building put up. That's one separate contractor. So this is, you know, the contractor to put the building up, okay? This is the kicker. You still have to step inside and frame all your walls in here, and then you have to pay a framer to do that, and this is my experience. Let's say the building contractor is going to charge you $12 a square foot to put the shell up with the foundation. No, that wouldn't be with the foundation. Let's say he charges $12 a square foot just for erection, okay? And let's say for another $10 a foot, you get the foundation, okay? So you're 22 to 25 bucks a foot. That's probably extremely low, okay, but I'm just doing for example. What happens is the framer comes along, the wood framer, who's used to doing stick frame houses, just traditional stick frame houses, okay? They usually charge by square foot. So Mr. Framer rolls in. He says, well, I'll charge you $8 a foot. Well, hold on, Mr. Framer. I'm paying this guy $22. I'm paying this guy $12 to put it up. And then you're going to charge me $8 just to frame the interior walls in? Yep. Well, you're only doing half the work. You realize you don't have to do this whole outside. Yep. But you're still going to charge me $8 a foot. Yep. Wow, okay, so this is the issue. So you have to figure this framing cost on top of your building, and that's, I think, where most of the cost upgrade comes from. So that's, you know, if that's $8 and you're 4,000 square feet, that's quite a bit. So $32,000 just to do the interior framing. That's not even, you know, they don't have to frame the roof, they don't have to frame nothing, but they're still charging. My experience, and I talked to a bunch of framers. I probably talked to 4 or 5 different framing contractors, and they all gave me the same price they would charge me a traditional home. I'm like, well, I guess it is what it is, but that's my biggest cost. So in short, Barndominiums are great value if you go back to, if you like the metal building, if you like the wide open space. It has a lot of pros, but don't go into it thinking it's going to be cheaper, because in my experience anyway, it's not always cheaper. It may be for you, but for me it's not. So hope that helps.